I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign.
Hey everybody, and welcome back to the channel. So today we got a cool video for you, and kind of a, hey, let's test out some of this stuff that's kind of import kind of stuff, Amazon quality stuff. Hey, how does it stack up against something that's legit, right? So we've been running these Kicker Comp R's and doing some low power subwoofer tests and just some stuff. These are a fairly affordable subwoofer and had pretty good results. These things really aren't too bad. But how do they compare to something like this Hyanka stuff that's, relatively inexpensive, kind of an unheard of brand, kind of new to the market? Well, we've tested a bunch of their stuff and had really good results. Well, other than their dual subwoofer enclosure with an amplifier, I really think those guys need to just do away with that. But we tested the 12-inch version of this subwoofer and their 1200 watt monoblock amp, and that thing just killed it. It was like a $229 kit, and we have a video that we made with that. So anyway, so we reached out to Hyanka and said, hey man, send us one of your 10-inch woofers and we'll put it up against a Kicker Comp R. And he said, sure, why not? No problem with that. And so we got them here, and these things are pretty similar. So we've got some specs here, and the Kicker is rated at 400 watts RMS, 800 watts max, okay? The Hyanka says 500 RMS, 1000 watts max, okay? Sensitivity, the Kicker is around 85. The Hyanka is rated, they said 87, okay? Voice coil, 2.5-inch voice coil on the Hyanka. Kicker doesn't seem to really list the voice coil size on it, but if I were to go and look in here and measure it, it looks like, I'm gonna say it looks like about a 2-inch voice coil on the Kicker, okay? Maybe bigger, okay? Another key factor on some of these things is box volume, okay? So the Kicker for a sealed box is 0.8 to 1.25 cubic feet. The Hyanka says 1.3 cubic feet, which seems fairly decent size for a sealed box for a 10-inch woofer, but vented on the Kicker, 1.25 to 1.75, and again, the Hyanka is 1.7 cubic feet for vented boxes. And the Hyanka didn't really get a whole lot of the specs on it as far as the speaker and whatnot. But the two things that are a little bit different on these two is the Kicker has a 17.5 millimeter X max, which is how far the cone moves, versus a 15 millimeter X max on the Hyanka. So keep in mind that X max is a pretty good factor of how much air these things move. So if you have the same diameter cone and one has more X max potential, one's gonna move more air than the other. So anyways, let's get these things opened up side by side, take a look and see what they look like. All right, well, we didn't have packaging for the Kicker. Hyanka seems like it's fairly simple and suitable. It comes with an owner's manual that has just enough specifications in it, how to wire the dual voice coils for different ohm loads and box sizes and all the other stuff in it, dimensions and things like that. So, pretty good deal. So as you can see, these things are fairly similar. This is going to be maybe 1/4 of an inch more depth on these things. We're looking at about 5 1/4 on. Yeah, I'm going to say that the depth inside the box mounting depth is going to be about the same. It's just this thing's got a bigger rubber surround on it. So I'm going to go over on the top side, and it looks like we've got about a 9.5-inch cone size, about the same on the kicker, maybe a little bit smaller. As you can see on this, we got a cast basket on this thing and a big rubber cover on at least on the outside. It's not on the bottom of the magnet, but basket on this thing is super nice. Spring-loaded terminals, which is great. This is where the kicker, it's got just a cast steel basket. It's got push terminals on it. So they're pretty similar in those regards, other than the Hyanka's got a cast basket. So let's weigh these things. All right, so we got the scale out. Looks like we got 12 pounds, almost 5 ounces for the kicker. Wow. We got 18 pounds, 4.3 ounces for the Hyanka, which is it's pretty substantial. So anyways, we're going to get these things mounted up in a box and we're going to give them a whirl. All right, so we thought we'd change things up like we mentioned, and we're going to do this as an in-car test. So we've got our box with the Hyanka over here, kicker over here, and we're gonna run them independently. I don't really have a switching device that's powerful enough. Most speaker tester or A/B switches are only rated at like 20 watts, 50 watts or whatever. So we're gonna be running probably somewhere 600 watts to these things, which is about the maximum of their rated power. So I've been listening to these things, and we're gonna go ahead and I'll kind of do like my typical evaluation afterwards. So let's fire it up. So right now we've got the kicker in place, and we're gonna fire it up and see what it does. All right, so that was the kicker. So now we're gonna run the Hyanka kind of through the same test and see what she does.
Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign.
I wanna be the greatest. Everybody on the fake shit. I look around and feel like everybody is the fakest. I make this every day and I'm impatient, hoping one day I blow up from the basement. Statement, the top is so vacant. I don't hear shit that I think is amazing. Waiting for my day when I'm playing sold out shows for 1,000 faces. Hey, let's go. I'm about to go off like a weapon. Fuel to the top, got a filled up engine. In my thoughts, obsession. I will not stop, no, I'm never second guessing. I got a God complex. Haters love to hate, but I never feel pressed.
All right, well, we've listened to them both. So what do you guys think? I'm gonna give you my opinion on these things. I think they're very similar in output. And one of the things that we did do is I had the SPL meter going, and neither of these subwoofers really, the SPL meters generally don't start reading till about 120 dBs. And trying to get 120 dBs in a quad cab truck with a single 10 in a sealed box, probably not going to happen so well. So the kicker on really pushing it would tickle it at, you know, just over 120 dB, slightly, you know, 120 point something. And the Hyanka never quite got there. Probably pretty close, but so output, I think they're pretty similar. I think really the biggest differences in these two woofers are the X-Max. So the kicker's got a little bit more X-Max in it, which I think is going to be probably better for you guys that want a little bit more pounding bass. You listen to really bass heavy stuff. But I will say that the Hyanka, when you're listening to moderate levels, if you're not really banging, it feels a little fuller and deeper and really seems to react faster. And that might be a product of the fact that it's got a bigger magnet on it and it's got less X-Max on it. So it's able to sort of, you know, respond quicker. Both of these are, you know, not, you know, something that you're going to use for SPL competitions or anything like that. You know, I think they're both really good subwoofers on these things. I put them through their paces, you know, off camera, really just beat the crap out of them, you know, got them pretty good. So they were both, you know, really broken in, but I really think it comes down to budget. You know, I think you're looking at, you know, like an $89 subwoofer versus like, you know, $139 subwoofer. I don't think you could go wrong either way. You know, I think Kicker makes a pretty decent, well-developed product. But again, there's a lot of these companies like Hyanka coming up that are making stuff that isn't junk by any means, and it's quite affordable. So, you know, my recommendation is buy either one, and you'll do real well. If you want to save a few bucks, buy this one. And just like the Hyanka 12-inch one that we reviewed, I think those things are really, really musical. I think if you're listening to, you know, top 40 pop music, maybe some, you know, rock music with some kicking drums, they're really good. If you're listening to, you know, some real bass heavy, you know, rap type music, I don't think either one of these subwoofers are probably your best choice. So, you know, it really comes down to budget. So, hey, don't forget to like and subscribe and all that good stuff. And follow us on Facebook. It's at Hi-Fi Redo. Just do a search. I'll try to throw a link in the description. You know, that way you can interact with us, and we want to see what you're building and check out what you're doing. You can contact me directly. People are always asking me questions and different stuff, making suggestions what to test and offering things up to test. So if you guys have something you'd like to see me test, you know, hit me up. You know, maybe we'll do it. So anyways, thanks to Hyanka for you know, loaning us the subwoofer, and Kicker for not responding to anything that we send them. So tough shit. So anyways, appreciate you guys watching and look forward to more.